I think one major thing is talking buses. The technology exists when you travel around London, when you go to Dartford, the buses will announce what stops are coming up. That isn't just good for visually impaired people, that's good for everyone. Tourists, older people, just people who haven't been to that area, or if you're not paying attention and you're on your phone. It is really important, and it's such a simple thing. And even if it costs too much to install technology into old buses, why not give the bus driver a microphone and make it that he has to announce every stop he's going past? For me, I know Cambridge really well, but when it gets dark, I go night blind. So I'll be on a bus and be able to get off at the right stop in the summer. Come the winter, I'll be struggling, and if the bus driver forgets that I'm on board and I've asked for him to announce the stop, then who knows where I'm getting off. That's one really important thing to me. But another is the trains as well. I regularly travel between Cambridge and London, and sometimes the trains make the announcements, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they make half the announcements and then stop. And for people who are hard of hearing, they're meant to have the scroll going across with the next stop, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's about consistency, but everything should be accessible. Visually impaired people can't drive. We have a disability that prevents us from doing that. So we rely on public transport. And it would be fantastic if Cambridge could embrace that and make that part, not just, occasional buses, but that is the norm and that's what's expected.
So
well, I think things like zebra crossings, when you have a crossing with traffic lights and it makes the beep, 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 great. Sometimes they don't. And they just have the green man show. And actually, it's really important that they do. Equally, people won't realise that underneath the button to press, there's a little cone that rotates. Sometimes people pull those off. So you need to have a backup of not just the cone to make sure that people know when it's safe to cross. There are so many little simple things that people don't necessarily think of. But good lighting, a lot of street lighting, that for me is essential. As soon as I get to an area with poor street lighting, I have no idea where I'm going. And so it would make people a lot more independent, but also feel a lot more secure. You don't have to be visually impaired to benefit from these things. I think for one thing it's really important you can always contact your MP and they will always respond. So it is important to raise issues that you have. Generally the reception has been completely agree, that's what we want to be able to do, but it's not that simple. They struggle to make things mandatory rather than strongly suggesting. Or people will batter back to having a talking bus, it costs money, or you can't install it. But actually, if it were me, I would obviously make it a hard yes or no. There are other countries such as Belgium who are way ahead of us with that, or everything talks. They had the whole system of cash points, being able to plug in your headphones and the screen go blank so that you could hear the instructions. They had that years before we did. I completely think so, because it's my understanding that a while ago there were suggestions of having talking buses and in Cambridge, and it was said that it would ruin the busing experience for people who travel by buses. To me, I'm afraid I don't particularly care about the
Do you think it's an evidence based, just out of interest?
I'm not sure, but to me it's about things being accessible to everyone. That's the important thing, because everyone deserves to be able to travel safely and happily and securely. And otherwise, what is so public about public transport if it's not for everyone? Well, I think for one thing, if you aren't prepared to say anything that's constructive, there's no point moaning. If you've got a moan, you should voice it. And it's really not that hard to construct a letter, to call someone, arrange a meeting. It's not difficult. And if you're passionate about something such as myself, then just follow through with that. I think it's all well and good sitting and complaining about, oh, I got off at the wrong bus stop because I couldn't see it. But actually, you've got to raise the issues, because people who aren't visually impaired or people who don't have those difficulties, it's not out of meanness that they're not doing anything about it. It's out of thoughtlessness. They're just not aware that it's a problem. So I'd say that just actually stand up and do something about it. Yeah, I plan on being them. We've got some European Championships, and hopefully 2020 will be our year. Well, there's always the Global UK website, which you can Google, and I'm on Twitter at Georgie Global, and Team Insight is also on Twitter at Team Insight Limited Ltd. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.